What's up, you guys? It's LG here. And before we start today's show, I have a special announcement. Today is unfortunately the final Milk Road Degen pod for now. We're going to pause it for now. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot talking to these former trenchers, now rich people, giving us their trading framework. But we're shifting a few things around at Milk Road. And I'm actually going to be a little bit more on the main podcast with Jay and doing a few episodes on my own with some really exciting guests over there. Other Milk Road Degen channels will continue. The newsletter will go on and the Twitter will go on. They've been doing a great job with the tweets. The team has been on fire there. And Milk Road Degen Pro, of course, will go on in its current format with the Pro Report, the occasional Signal, and the twice monthly AMAs in the Discord, which is the best place to find me, honestly. You just head on over to the Discord, sign up for Pro, and get on in there. But thank you, everybody who listened to, I think we did maybe 12 or 15 episodes. We had a really good time. I wish we could continue, but this is just what makes sense here at Milk Road. And I'm really excited to do it. I'm a natural podcaster, and I get to do it probably even more often. So you'll be hearing my voice over on the main Milk Road channel. And this will be the last pod on Milk Road Degen for now. Enjoy the final episode. It's an epic one about prediction markets. And I'll see you on the main Milk Road channel. So go over there and subscribe.
If prediction markets keep going up and to the right in Q4, and it's looking like they're going to, that means PolyMarket is their valuation is going to reprice up. Kalshi's valuation is going to reprice up, and that's going to be the anchor pricing for everything underneath it, and those things are going to go bananas.
What's up, everybody? It's LG Doucette here. Welcome to the Milk Road Degen podcast, the show that helps you feel slightly less insane for being here in crypto, not for being on the show. Either way, both things are crazy. Today, we have a fantastic guest who's agreed to come on last second. Kix is here in the studio, and he is answering one of the questions that I've had for a long time, and I know a lot of people have had in our community for a really long time, which is, how do I actually bet on prediction markets, right? Because prediction markets, everybody knows, is a huge thing. Everyone's trying to predict what Jerome Powell's going to say at his next speech, or what Taylor Swift is going to, who she's going to diss in her next album, or whatever you want. But none of those tokens, none of those platforms, PolyMarket, Kalshi, all that stuff, they don't have tokens yet. They're racing to dropping a token, but they don't have their own token. And Kix has identified the actual tickers, whether they're tooling or some other kind of format, that work as little betas to those platforms. And today he's going to share that alpha for us right here on the show. Before we start, I want to send you over to Milk Road Swap. If you're trading anything on Ethereum, Base, ARB, Solana, right, which, we do a lot of trading there, head on over to Milk Road Swap. We have some really fantastic fees there set up by the team to make it just a lot easier to kind of trade your crypto, especially if you're a little browser wallet, right? When you're leaving Coinbase, you want to feel safe. Milk Road Spot is a good spot. And today's episode is actually brought to you by two different people: Nexo, the platform that grows your crypto without locking it away, and Figure Markets, grow your cash like a bank, no lockups, just real returns, brother. Kix. Okay, first, before you even say anything else, for anybody watching on YouTube, you have one of the most unique angles of any streamer I've ever seen.
It's the worst, dude.
Only. I did a show with Kix like last week. I came on your show, on the Bodago show, and I was like, what's up with Kix being so zoomed in? And it's just basically like, it's like half your face and a microphone, and it's like cropped too tightly. And I think I for years I've been trying to figure out, like, what's the right streamer setup? Like, how do I look
100%
cool? And you have people like Thread Guy, who like clearly invested in having this kind of like giant
backdrop and stuff
as his studio, or everyone has different unique look, but yours is genius. First of all, tell me about that. Why did you do that?
Yeah, so it's completely accidental. So long story short, I've been on the Bodago's team for a while, doing shows with them, and I've just notoriously always had terrible audio video. Like, I had the worst mic for the longest time, and it was just like almost a meme within the shows that there was a mic issue. Pio eventually sent me equipment, so my audio is good. Camera was good, but then he was like, I want to send you a better lens. But he forgot the camera that he had sent to me. So the lens he sent to me is like, one of them is like it's a fixed view or something like that. So basically there's no zoom in, zoom out. There's a compatibility issue. For the last 2 years now, I've been hard zoomed in on every single thing I do, every single Zoom call I'm on, everything, dude. So it's like, people can see my pores if I have acne. It's well.
You're a handsome guy, so it works out.
Yeah, it works out.
Yeah, but if you have
one day, I will zoom out, but then it'll just be a boring gray background.
You had a Band-Aid last week. What was the Band? You had a Band-Aid
nose strip. Nose strip.
Nose strip. What, for like blackheads?
No, to breathe superior oxygen levels through my nose.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me try this. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
I'm a nose strip maxi.
I'm gonna try and do the show like this. Zoomed in. Here we go. There we go.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
I have to have the microphone. Here we go. I try to hold it like this. Okay, now we're
and it's a real tight angle. You can't move too much, or then you're out of frame.
I gotta have like half my face. Okay, I gotta just try like this. Okay, now we're matching. Now we're matching angles.
This is perfect, dude.
Okay, here we go. And it's kind of like we're looking at each other. Okay,
yeah,
so
this is perfect.
Tell me about. I gotta try and fix this, but tell me about prediction markets. I'm just gonna pull up the tweet. Tell me first of all the thesis, because you teased this for like days. You're like, all right, bros, I'm gonna share my big thesis for the year for the Q4, and you guys are gonna shit your pants when I share it. And then you finally wrote a post with like 6 different tickers, 8 tickers if you include the speculative ones. Tell me about that. Tell me about the thesis for prediction markets, and then we'll dive into these.
100%. So I've been in crypto since 2020, and I've primarily made my money and focused on the alt side. Like I hold Bitcoin, I hold ETH, I hold Solana, but I've always made my money on the more speculative stuff. So for 2021, it was NFTs. And, NFTs after 2022 just wasn't really my game anymore. I still trade the occasional NFT. I own Moonbirds, I had Punchy Penguins, but, in terms of having a lot of things to do.
Punk strategy pretty early, man. Give yourself some
kudos
for that.
Yeah.
You were on your show, you called it pretty early.
That was nice. And so yeah, I like trading those types of things. And what I've noticed over the years is, without fail, other than 2022, every year in Q4 there's an alt season, right? But then there's specifically like an alt meta. And if you get into the meta early, there's insane returns. All alts will pump, but if you get in the right ones, you're going to get really, really good returns.
So 20 like an AI last year.
Exactly. So AI last year, NFTs in 2021. So like if you were in virtuals, anywhere before, I want to say middle of October of 2021. Let's see when it pumped. Yeah. So like October, even by October 11th, you could have gotten in virtuals like sub 60 million, and it went over $4 billion circulating. Right. Yeah. So we're talking insane, like 50Xs. If you got an AI 16Z early, we know all the tickers from last cycle, right? If you get in November and like sometimes even December, there's plenty of new things that are launching. There's you can make money. I made money in AI, even though I wasn't in any of these tickers early on. But so long story short, identifying this, I'm like, okay, this year, this is a big year, 4-year cycle, blah, blah, blah. Alt season should be big. If I can figure out the meta, then I can make some good money. And so some of the things that I was looking for was, one, like, okay, is this something that can really break out in terms of the narrative around it, right? So AI last year, if you think about ChatGPT, right? Claude, Cursor, AI exploded last year. Obviously it was around before, but on a consumer level, it exploded last year. So that was kind of the platform for the AI narrative to take off in crypto, right? And so I last 2 months I've been looking around. I'm like, is it going to be creator coins, internet capital markets, streamer coins? Is it going to be NFTs on Telegram?
Pokemon cards.
Exactly. Pokemon cards. We saw the card ticker, right? I even considered that. But none of them had like the right setup I was looking for. And this whole time, the timeline's just talking nonstop about prediction markets, right? We're seeing VCs throwing money at new prediction market startups. And at a consumer level, like, it's out there now. Like, prediction markets are not like this niche crypto thing. It's well known in the space. So it has a very similar setup to what I felt like we had with AI last year. And exactly to your point, how you introed in, I'm over here trading PolyMarket, and I'm not even thinking of, are there liquid coins out there? is this going to be the meta? Is this going to be the thing that takes off and breaks off in Q4? And it's lining up pretty well that way when you just see the continued exploding attention that prediction markets are getting. So I'm like, cool. If this is going to be the meta, then there's tokens out right now that are probably going to capture a lot of attention, get bid up very high. And then there's also going to be protocols out there that don't have tokens yet, and you can get in early and airdrop farm them. And we all know how, I'm not a big airdrop farmer personally, but we know how well Blur was. Season 1 was like insane for NFT people if you got in early and did it. Same with Hype, right? So like two things I was looking for is basically, cool, I'm going to invest in the tokens that exist now that I like or I think that have promise. And then I'm going to have a stack that I'm going to use to experiment with protocols that probably will drop a token. And then also knowing that there's going to be new token drops in Q4 for prediction markets and having some liquid. So I basically allocated like X to this prediction market meta thesis. I put half in now, and then the rest I'm going to throw in at new things that are coming.
So yeah, I like, there's a lot of things I like about this thesis too, because I think that your idea of like the Q4 always has some like thing is also like that thing is always tied to like, maybe this will, it sounds cheesy, but it's like, maybe this will be the main use case of crypto. It's always something like, even right now, it's like, okay, punk strategy. It's like, well, that's not a use case of crypto. That's just like a super Ponzi to reboot NFTs. Yeah. We've already been through NFTs. Q4 2021, we were like, holy shit, man. Everyone is going to have an NFT. They were running, apes were running their campaign on like Jimmy Kimmel and Bieber. It was like, holy shit, like NFTs might actually define how we use the internet now. Like that's the shit we would say. And
100%.
And then they didn't. But then we had 2 years of bear market. And then last year, Q4, it's like everybody was like, oh my God, of course AI and crypto.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Naturally, of course.
So it has to be something that you can do that too.
That's it. And all these startups, right? Like AI is so funny, right? It was like all these ideas. Like, we're going to go build this. It's just another bot that tweets. But people like, even the silly ones, like the bully one, right? Was his name? Was it bully? What was it? Like, that one ran to like 300 mil. Right?
Yeah.
And it was just,
AIXBT ran to
X account that's mean
700 million, dude.
Like, yeah, he's fucking crazy.
All it did was tweet, and it went to $700 million.
But there was a brief time where we were like, this is actually going to be it. This is AI 16Z. You know what I mean? All this shit.
100%
going to be it. So totally, like out of all the metas right now, I totally, fucking people are trying to push robotics. Like sure.
Literally, I looked at crypto robotics and I tried to sell myself on it. And then I'm like, dude, imagine like what you just said, where you're like AI crypto, right? Or NFTs crypto, right? Like being like robotics crypto. I'm like, dude, this is something like, who's going to be able to explain this narrative to people or like have it make like clear breakout sense? Also, robotics is really hard. Like someone can't just launch a robotics startup and be like, cool, we have a functioning robot now. With
at least AI is like, well, you use ChatGPT. Yeah. You know what I mean? One of the hottest startup of the last 2 years.
Exactly.
AI company. You know what I mean? It's like robotics. I'm like, I have no robotics in my life. Like there's like even Vader I saw today, it's like he's making his own AI glasses. And it's like, okay, it's kind of robotics, but it's like not really. It's kind of wearables. Like you're competing with Facebook.
Maybe 2030 Q4.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll come back around that.
Yeah, I can see robotics maybe 2030.
What I like about prediction markets is that you have a massive primitive that has been one of the most bullish industries that's grown the most in the last 15 years since they legalized sports betting, right? Since they turned around sports betting, and Adam Silver was pining for it when he took over as NBA commissioner, you had this huge change of acceptance of betting. And now when you watch any sports broadcast, it's like betting, and that's where it's a great place to invest. And you have massive startups who come out of that, DraftKings, everything. And that's specifically sports. But now naturally, sports is only, you still do prediction markets for sports. But like sports is so pigeonholed. It's like, you don't like sports. This is fuck all for you. But now you can bet on literally anything else, politics, pop culture, all this other shit. And the idea that the two largest prediction markets are crypto native, right there, I could just stop right there, and immediately you have that same like, well, that's a product market fit for crypto.
Exactly.
Just like AI was.
Exactly.
Right? Except these products have been around for a long time.
Yes.
PolyMarket's been around for a couple of years and came to define things like the now I'm ranting because I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but it's like even the election last year, it was like, which market was right? It was PolyMarket.
Yeah, exactly.
That was right. Everybody else polls 50-50. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
PolyMarket was like, 75% Trump's winning.
Yeah, exactly. With hundreds of millions of dollars, bet on it.
God, I remember seeing those clips come in around this time a year ago. People be like, who just put $20 million?
Yeah, it was this French trader.
How do you know that? Right.
Yeah.
But boom, they nailed it. So I really love this thesis because, and I think it's also something where, I was just speaking from like as a stupid trader, where it's something where it's like my natural inclination kicks, and I'm a very bad trader, is to be like, well, everybody knows about prediction markets. I'm way too late.
Yeah.
I'm way too late to get in on this because it's nothing new.
Yeah.
But I think that's when you have to really dig in. So thanks for explaining all that. That's really smart. I feel like you have a lot to say more on what I just said. So it's you.
Yeah, you're 100% spot on. And I mean, it's very easy for a trader to think, because I remember like even with virtuals, I was like, man, I'm late to this when it was at 100 million or 200 million and went to, 4.5 billion. And like, I do think that with prediction markets, we're still super early because we're in this S curve of new users coming on volume. Like what Kalshi's doing with the sports prediction markets and the parlays that they just launched. The volume's just going to come insane. Be insane. Then it's going to bleed over into these other markets. And like to your point with like sports betting, you have your DraftKings, you have your FanDuel. That's like Kalshi and PolyMarket, right? But then you have all of these other startups around it, right? And then you have things like the Sleeper app for fantasy football, right? There's so many niches within the big thing. And I think that's what we're going to see play out here. So I look at it, there's platforms, right? Then there's tooling, software, analytics, right? And then and this is going to sound crazy, but then there's going to be AI agents or like protocols that actively trade these. Maybe not AI agents, but like think of like a hyperliquid like Vault, where someone's going to be here. I'm a market.
Sire is one that I've been hot on for a while, and that we follow a lot in Milk Road. So it's a perfect example of one.
Yeah. So that's how I'm looking at it, because if you think PolyMarket, if they airdrop their token in, let's say Q1 2026, with how prediction markets are trending, this thing could come out FDV 20 billion. Like it could come out very, very, very big.
I'd ape that shit.
Absolutely. And then what that means is that's the pricing anchor for all of these other liquid tokens in the prediction market space, as long as they're successful. Since it's like, okay, we're relatively early to Q4, there's going to be other launches. There's no guarantee like the ones that I'm picking, all of them are going to do well. Some of them may stink. Some of them may do great. That's why I also have that liquid other half. And as we're going through this, when I'm like, okay, this is a laggard, this is a winner, I can kind of shift and rotate. But I'm looking at, there's platforms out there. So you got Kalshi PolyMarket under there. You got like myriad markets, no liquid token, but you could farm that. There's going to probably be an airdrop there, right? So if you have prediction markets there that you like, you can trade that. But then one of the tickers I like, it's called PQL. They just rebranded to PMX.
Here we go. This is the start. This is the start of the tickers. Here we go. We're starting. Okay. This is the start. You can start at this point if you just wanted the alpha.
Exactly. So PQL is one that is doing pretty well. They just rebranded to PMX and they launched a whole thing. Their whole pitch basically is anyone can launch a market on here. It's resolved by us, so anyone can propose a market, and then they do a different style to how liquidity is formed. Basically, everybody like puts in liquidity for the market before it starts, and people that put liquidity in the market can't lose. So it's like risk-free APR. So they're going to be able to get a lot of liquidity in on all of these markets, and then they're going to. Yeah, so they're all their social links still linked to the
old.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's okay. PMX.
So now they're a liquidity provider for markets.
Right here. So I'm sending it to you in private chat. They just rebranded to this.
Got it.
Yeah, so they're an actual platform. So you'll be able to come in. You could come in and you could create a market. Liquidity providers can provide liquidity before the market starts, and all liquidity providers have no risk on market making or providing liquidity, just because of how the pools are set at launch. So these are the kinds of things that I'm looking for platform plays, is things that are trying to like fit into different slots, or trying different approaches, right? Just derivatives of.
What does their token do? What does this token do? Like, what is
Great question. I don't even know. I want to say that
you don't have to. You don't have to.
They probably will do some sort of like fee buyback right into the token. Would be my guess.
I would assume, you know what's funny too? I just want to comment on that, is that lately when I'm like researching tickers and stuff like that, I'm like, what's the use case of this token? I'm like, well, we used to ask that, but now it's like you have like a year or two of precedent of other tokens laying the way. That's like, your token doesn't have to do anything. You just have to tie to your protocol's revenue in some way, right?
Yes.
So you can do buybacks, burnings, whatever the fuck you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's all.
Yes.
Just if they haven't announced that, know that they can. And you don't
exactly.
It's kind of like roadmap with NFT.
They can do staking for reduced fees on the platform.
That's it. There's a bunch of different utilities that have been laid out that you can like assume that it's like most well thought out platforms and apps. There's like a 90% chance they'll start to do those when they're ready to really like pump the chart, right? So
exactly.
Let the true believers get in now, and then pump the chart later with that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And my eyes are really on Base and Solana, just how we saw with AI, right? That's where the setups were in terms of play. So this is on Solana. So I like the setup over here. And then there's and I think they're going to have some pretty good volume. But yeah, they lay out, and they're partnered with Meteor, but they lay out exactly how.
So they do pre-sales of a market.
Exactly, and the reason why this is interesting is because by them front loading all the liquidity, then when you mint the liquidity, it's like if everybody provided liquidity and you got 50%. So there's like there's no way, no matter how the outcome happens, that you like lose money. That's how they
really lose money. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then because with a lot of small markets and prediction markets, people don't want to place liquidity on clubs because you have to like take one side risk on one side of the market, right? So PolyMarket and Kalshi get a ton of volume on these big markets, but then some markets, it's hard for them to get volume because like who's on the other side, just naked market making, against retail with no way to hedge out.
Oh, dude, it's one of the biggest problems on like PolyMarket, especially, I'm in Canada and I'm like, okay, let's go look at like the NHL markets. And I'm like, oh, this is a good one. And it's like the volume is like $500. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not.
Exactly. And the order books are so thin
on this, like the chart will just almost resolve,
Exactly. Seriously. No. So that's a big problem. So like seeing these guys try to like solve for this, I'm like, cool, I'll take a bet on these guys. And then there's a couple other liquid tokens in the platform space. I'm just looking at CoinGecko's prediction.
So PMX, do they host the market as well?
Yeah, so they're the platform. Okay.
They are the platform.
So they're the front end. So they're exactly, they're a PolyMarket Kalshi competitor.
Got it. Okay, great. That's a fantastic pick. That's a great first one. Okay.
Yeah, and then I think just them like partnering with Meteor and just being able to get some of that stuff in is going to be some additional juice for them. But then if you look at the prediction markets category on CoinGecko, SX Network is a big one, 45 million. So that's actually up a good amount already from when I shared. But once again, it can still, like a lot of these things, you're looking at them in their sub 50 million market cap. And if PolyMarket's going to come out with 15, 20 billion FTV, you got to think kind of successful third tier would be worth like 500 million, right? So like a lot of these you could say like, and once again, it's like you're taking the risk that some of these people may not be successful or get a lot of volume. But I think if this narrative takes off, they'll just be laggards and you can cut them for a 50% or a 2X, you know what I mean? And rotate into the things that are getting traction.
You don't even need that either. Like the thing is like I
Yeah.
think what we forget about AI is that it was just like anything goes at one point. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It was just like fucking any new thing.
Like there was this AI agent platform. It was kind of like a virtuals called Waifu on Solana, and it went to like 350 million. Top Hat went to like over 100 million.
I had the NFTs. I had the Waifu like NFT. Oh no, those virtuals waifus. Anyways, yeah, like I had that. Yeah, like it's, yeah. Once you know, I think the bet on these is that like you're trying to bet on these things hitting like a 10 or 20 or like 100x from here. When you get to like a peak hysteria of prediction markets are like the thing that we absolutely need to
exactly
like, get everything else when they hit a euphoria, which they haven't. They've kind of dabbled, but it's only been like, oh, because of like PolyMarket news, they did a raise.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, you know.
And so
there's always crazy Ponzi shit that happens, like PolyMarket's bought.
Exactly.
You know, like all this.
Everyone's gonna it's gonna be a pricing anchor, and everything else is gonna get priced off of it. Really and so it's like cool if you're semi-successful as a platform, you're gonna be in the hundreds of millions. So SX and Overtime, so ticker SX and ticker Over, they're both the same. They're sports books right now, like crypto on-chain sports books that have had traction for a period of time. SX already looks like they're pivoting into prediction markets, and I think Overtime could potentially as well. But what I like is that for both of these, it's like, okay, they already have volume. They've already had traction, like running this kind of operation. For them then to, you know, add into prediction markets isn't that crazy. So I think those are just other platform plays. And then the last platform play is True over on Base. So it's just another prediction market. It's only at 13 million because they're not getting a ton of volume and traction yet. But as we saw with virtuals, as we saw with AI16Z on Solana and Base, you're always like each of those communities is going to pick a winner. So I could see True doing pretty well over there. And once again, these things are really low market caps. Like you talked about Vader. Vader went to the hundreds of millions, right? So thinking like something like True, as they get more traction.
I know this one.
Yeah.
I was tracking the ticker for this for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're on Base. I think it could be. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah. So I think once again, it's like, yeah, okay, maybe they don't have a lot of volume on their platform right now, but it's a 13 million market cap ticker prediction market. Infra's all set up. It's on Base. If this thesis plays out, I think that can do.
How do you allocate? How do you allocate this? Because you said in your post you're doing 15% of your portfolio. To these markets. How do you choose what you're doing between like PMX and these other ones?
Yeah, so let's just say like how I usually like to have is like 3 tiers of things. So let's just assume numbers. My high risk stabs would be 1K. My medium conviction would be 2.5K. And if I really love the project, it'd be like 5K. So for like Flipr and P-Cool, I put in 5K just in this example. Rain, True, SX Over, I put in 2.5K. And then the PM and Polybro, which were both super low tickers, I put in like 1K. That kind of equivalent, right? So my biggest plays are like, you know, double the medium, which are double the small ones.
Right. Okay.
So those
what's your target? Are you, and obviously it probably has to base, like you're just going to wait for that peak euphoria moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's more like timing, timing and like feeling target on these things. Having said that, as these things gain traction, lose traction, new entrants come in, I'm totally fine with like rotating bags. So I could totally be wrong on PMX or I could totally be wrong on Flipr. And I think those will still go up with everything. But if I'm like, hey, this one over here is really getting the traction, you know, I'll cut and just keep the same amount of exposure to the thesis, but rotate. But yeah, that's like the approach that I'm taking.
Okay.
Flipr is an interesting one. So like I think PMX, just based on the price action and what it's doing, is a little bit lower risk, but higher market cap, and Flipr is a little bit higher risk, like out of those two picks. So Flipper's trying to be, and this is the thing that I'm really interested in with prediction markets. Flipper's trying to be like an aggregation layer, right? So you could go into Flipr and like connect your PolyMarket and connect your Kalshi and eventually connect your Myriad, right? And then trade all through one dashboard.
Right.
Right.
There's a lot of those. Yeah. Like Billy
Exactly.
trying to do that for sports and everything. Yeah.
100%. And so they'll have some fees and stuff like, for doing that. But then they're also on top trying to do things like leverage or loaning. So they're trying to be the hub on top. If PolyMarket and Kalshi are like, the NASDAQ, the exchanges, right? This is like an E-Trade. This is trying to be like an E-Trade, right? And as we know, like if you've done meme coins, Bolex, all, there's trading bots, or trading things. So this is kind of in the aggregation layer / trading bot area, which I think this is a little bit more of a volatile market, but there will be a winner in this, whether it's Flipr or something else, that'll really take off because they'll just build the Bloomberg terminal E-Trade for these markets, and lots of people will just use it because it's way easier. And they'll get a lot of traction that way. Do
any of these have big backers or anything like that? Like any big
the Rain, so like the Rain one got a angel investment from FWiz. He was at Polygon, then he moved to Optimism. So like I thought that was pretty interesting with the Rain ticker. And so like the Rain ticker one is trying to be like a AI. We're gonna see a lot of this, like AI X prediction markets, right? So whether it's an AI agent that they're like training up to trade these things better, or whether it's like a AI analyst that's like trying to give you, hey, here's your odds on, like, here's what we think the odds are. This market, according to our analysis, is underpriced. But yeah, Flipr is just straight like aggregation layer trading on top of all these things, which I think could be interesting. But once again, I think the platforms have a level of risk, but like platforms kind of, as long as they can get some traction, like sucks everyone. And like platforms was virtuals and AI 16Z, right? Those were the biggest moves ever. So like the platforms are where you can make a ton of money. If you can catch like a Vader, AI 16Z, or sorry, a Vader, Cerebro, those other kind of ones, you can do very well. It's just higher risk because there's going to be a lot of competition in that. So like the AI agent prediction market things, those are really easy just for other people to get up the door. Like building a aggregation layer, that's a little bit more sticky. Building a platform's a little bit more sticky. So I think like Polybro, if you look at the Polybro one, I want to say that's
this like low cap one. Is what you're talking?
Yeah. So I think that's and so like that's once again why I only put in the lowest amount. Like, and I think I got in that one maybe relatively late. Like I think I got in that one at 1 million. But this is another one where it's trying to be an AI agent layer, quant, giving you analysis, stuff like that.
Okay.
The ones I'd be more bullish on in this versus like an AI agent that tries to give you edge trading, those plays I don't love as much because the more people that use the service, any arbitrage gets taken out, right? Like if an AI agent really does have an edge and it has 1,000 people using it, then they're just going to eliminate the edge versus like a more closed source thing where they're like, we're building this AI agent and like it buys back the token with the profits it makes or something like that, right? But it's like it's running its own quant brain. That kind of stuff I think could be more interesting. But yeah, it's still really early. There's not a crap ton of tickers out right now. So that's why I put most of my money on PQL, True, Rain, SX over.
What was Rain again? Sorry, what was Rain?
Yes, that's the one FWiz, FWiz, whatever.
Oh, that's the FWiz one. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so if you pull it up, just really nice website. Big website guy. But yeah, they're trying to be
future of autonomous. Yeah, AI agents in sports.
AI agents X sports, and now they're kind of.
It's funny that a lot of this stuff is still sports. It's and I
Yeah.
guess that's also like just the biggest actual like betting market that there is. But it's funny to me that it's a lot of it. Like I feel like what defined PolyMarket wasn't sports.
Yes, very much so.
Like
it was
being
not
a place
sports.
where you could bet on not sports.
100%.
Yet a lot of these are still like sports focused. I guess because sports are something that happens like all the time, and it's a good way to kind of like bring in some bettors. But and it's also something where it's like it'll take years for us to get used to betting on other things.
Exactly.
There's still
that's why Kalshi's doing so well, is because they're focusing a lot on sports right now, and it's just like an easy one to get other get existing customers that already do sports. But yeah, I'm more bullish on prediction markets outside of sports because I think that's just like a nascent market. Like PolyMarket launched these markets where you could predict earnings beats. And in the stock market previously, right, if you thought a company was going to beat earnings, it's not like you can just long them because they can beat earnings, but they don't beat them by enough and it dumps, right? Or it's flat. And it's really cool just to be able to be like, cool, I think Casso is going to beat earnings, right? So that's a really interesting financial market to me. Or the straight political markets are super interesting.
Sorry, did you say this, that Rainmaker has the PolyMarket badge?
Yeah, so those are easy to get. So they have not easy to get, but like
they're like
if you're a builder,
market builders.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is a cool place where you can see all of the.
Oh. Yeah. Whoa! Holy fucking shit, man.
Exactly. So this is also like a perfect example of you could just sift through these, and look for the ones that have tickers and don't have tickers, and just like the ones that you think are going to do the best. Because in each of these,
I didn't know this existed. Holy shit, man! That's partners.
Because like so in like the trading section, the AI agent section, those are both going to be very interesting derivative plays to PolyMarket.
Dude, I mean, honestly, just looking at this, the play is clearly just the PolyMarket token.
Seriously, though.
It doesn't exist yet. But it's like you're saying, like, buy the virtuals or the AI16Z. It's like, well, that's PolyMarket. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have a token yet. But like, 100%. I would even say, like, and I love the picks you've given us. And I would also look for just like, how can I just automate as much volume on PolyMarket as possible? Just to rack up my score or whatever I'm going to need.
100%. And that's totally what I'm doing is trading a lot on PolyMarket. It's going to be the best token out there. But if you think about if PolyMarket comes out at 10, 20 billion FTV, then whatever the successful things underneath it that have liquid tokens, there's going to be multiple in the hundreds of millions, maybe one that can get to $1 billion.
Oh, totally. And there's going to be a few of these that's like, PolyMarket puts out a thing, and they're going to, and people will be like, well, who got the highest allocation was people that were using PolyTrader or were using Rain or something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and then that token will blow up, and the other ones will die. And,
exactly. Like you see in AI agents, you have Polybro, so that's the ticker we just looked at. Then you have Billy Bets that launched on virtuals.
Yeah, they migrated. Yeah,
yeah,
and then Kalsh is doing the same thing too. They also have a bit of an arms race, more like influencer based, but they also have they partnered with Sire and a few other platforms as well.
100%.
Also, so it's this kind of like hungry hippos between the two of them of like getting all these tech partners to integrate their
and that's why I like stuff like Flipr, where they're trying to be the trading aggregation layer on top of all of the markets, because they don't have to attach their cart to a single horse. They can work with them all and do well with them all. Yeah. Awesome. So anyways, like that's the thesis. It's still very early. Once again, virtuals, relatively early. Virtuals started taking off in a big way 2 weeks from now. So I'm not expecting some of these things to be fireworks right away, but I do think they're going to start getting bids, and then it'll be very telling the ones that blow up. But then things like Vader and things like AI16Z, those didn't even come out until November, right? So part of it is also just keeping enough of the allocation that you want to put into this liquid, and just keeping tabs on this market and seeing where the traction is going, seeing how the meta is shaping up. But yeah, it really checked off a lot of boxes for me because it has the same setup to AI last year. And if you look this year, just across the timeline, it's everything prediction markets. VCs are backing melee markets, and Limitless on Solana just did a big raise. Like, the money is flowing here. Why wouldn't the altcoins in this sector start catching mega bids?
Yeah, and I think you always have to remember that's like, as the majors moon and then people take profits and people just like are so flush with cash, especially rates going down, that it's like the further down the risk curve you go,
100%
there is appetite for like the really big narrative. And we haven't really, I feel like we haven't had like an actual like quarterly big narrative in a while. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there wasn't, sure, Pump had its thing and these different, the plasmas and the Astro perp decks, you know what I mean? Like things like that. It's like, those are good, but it's like perps existed before. This is suddenly everybody just wanted to be.
And like a true meta, there's like a bunch of things to trade. And then usually they have the ability that like new tickers or new things are coming out all the time. That's why AI pumped so hard, because it was like people could just spin up new ideas, build a new agent on virtuals.
New ideas, new VCs could come in, like, oh, this person who's known for this is launching a this, like that's always been like, even virtuals, the game was to like literally just look at the dev wallets and find the people on Twitter, which are like worked half the time, and you 100%. You figure out who's launching something before they even announce it, right? So
like I'll feel toppy. I'll feel toppy when the PolyMarket token comes out, or if like on Pump Fun we have like a new AI prediction market agent, going to 10 million every day. Then I'll start being like, okay, this is starting to get a little silly. But right now, when I look at the market caps, a lot of these things, so the platforms that I shared, only 2 are at 50 million. That's PMX and SX. The rest are between 10 and 25 million, right? Yep. So a lot of these still have 10x's if they get traction. And then the AI agent and stuff like Flipr, all of those are like under $10 million market cap. So you're doing higher risk, bets on these things with the thought process that if this meta takes charge, then going into the end of October and then all the way through November, it's going to be, charts are just going to go up and to the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so something at $1 million, if it gets some traction, it going to 50 is not crazy at all.
It's also something where it's like, that type of, I remember AI too. It was like something where people were like, that's fucking stupid, for the first couple months until it's undeniable. And it was something where it's like, it almost seems kind of lame. I don't know how else to put it. It's not as like sexy as some of the new stuff. Right, since it's already out there, and a lot of these tickers, it's like, man, these are platforms. Like, it's boring. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as like fun. But I feel like that's when you easily miss the boat. Even the ones you're talking about, even PMX and stuff like that, man. It's like we did this podcast a month ago. You'd be up 20x, right? So, that's really great.
And I also know with like the virtuals chart. Just watching that thing just continue to go up in the right. And I'm like, early on in like October, I was like, this is dumb. You know what I mean? And then in November, I'm buying all the things. Like, that's how quick it can change in a month. And I do.
Website.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think it's bullish. You want people that don't think it's going to be it. If it's consensus for everybody, then the price probably is already fair value for everything. So it's like good if like AI in early October, people were like, an AI agent with a token, this is dumb. A month later, everybody's trading it. So you would, if this works out, it'd be the same kind of thing where half the people that you say, they're like, prediction markets, that's really just PolyMarket and Kalshi, and they won. Why would I do anything else, right? And then a month later, they're like, oh my God, there's millions being thrown around through these trading bots every week. How
do we trench this stuff? Because these are all great picks. And like you're saying, it's like there'll be some traction and there'll be some new ideas. Maybe the beta isn't out yet. How do we find these? How do you actually like, what's about? Because even something like virtuals is like, well, just look at virtuals every day, right? Or just go on the AI16Z Discord and talk to people. And that was it. That's all you needed. You didn't do anything else. For this, it seems like it's a little bit more scattered. So how do we find them?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Definitely, I don't really trench so hard, but in different Discords, like, if you in a Discord and there are people trenching, you will see people just start to share tickers of new stuff coming out, and you just have to keep tabs on it. There's no like ICO beast of prediction market, meta on Twitter right now.
Yeah, there will
not
be.
yet.
Yeah,
exactly.
He predicted recently that there would be.
Yeah, but there may be soon, right? 100%.
Yeah. Well, they probably exist. We just don't know. They're just not. They're still at 3,000 followers like he was.
Exactly. And so I think just like looking around, and if you find a ticker, go see the other people that have been talking about the ticker for a couple of weeks, look at their profile, be like, what else are they interested in, right? Like when I posted this thing, PMX, I had some person like retweeted and was like, look, the threaders have found, like the first threader has found PMX, right? Higher, right? I'm like, okay, this guy's probably been on this thing fucking since $2 million, right?
He's been in for a long time.
Exactly. Yeah. So what is this person, what are they also looking at in the space? And then also just as simple as it sounds, I like just following like, a CoinGecko, the categories, right? Because you'll get a couple interesting things, and then usually from there, it's easier to find the other things. So at least you get a category understanding. But here's the interesting thing: so like AI agents, right? Virtuals has like Billy Bets. They have this other ticker called Preddy, which is a couple million. So I would, just to your point, keep an eye on virtuals. I think for AI X prediction market stuff, I would keep an eye on virtuals because I think that's a great launch pad, and a lot of these things will launch through that. Or even, I want to say Flipr, or I want to say there's this other one, PM is the ticker. It's a super low cap, sort of trying to be a flipper. Like one or two of those launch through the Believe app, funny enough. So a lot of these things launch through these launch pads. So keeping tabs on the launch pads for new stuff, and just like saying, okay, what's coming or what's been out in the past week, and just seeing if anything from prediction markets happen. I think that's good. A good way to like trench them and find them. And also if if you're active or someone that's active in prediction markets, these people are going to naturally find these things, right? They're going to be like, oh, hey, like I've started using this website every single day. To do my prediction market stuff, then you'll be like, okay, let me see what this guy's doing. And then also knowing in this space, I do think like AI agents is really easy, just like launch a token with the thing and go. How prediction markets are structured, there will be really big cooks that have to be farmed. So like Myriad has to be farmed, right? There's going to be things out there that you have to like use the protocol, and then you can get an airdrop. And once again, I'm not great at those things, but I'll definitely keep tabs on it. But do you remember Cookie DAO from the AI agent space?
Yeah, I still go to that website sometimes because they have like, I love their like Kaido style. Like when I need a secret and I want to see who's like been tweeting about it, I still use that.
Yes, exactly. So think about like a prediction market analytics site for that people go to every day, and then look at the cookie ticker, dude. On October 24th, it was 1.7 million, right? By November 20th, it's 2.7 million. By December 15th, it's 13 million. And by January 15th, it's 180 million. So you're talking about this thing did 180x on its token in a period of a month and a half, and it didn't even start until November. So like when you're looking at these prediction market plays, and you're like, this thing's at a fucking $1.2 million market cap. Like, what are we talking about here? And it's like, okay, go pull up Cookie DAO, and you'll see for the entire month of October, they were at a $1.5 million market cap, and then kaboom, goes to the moon. So these valuations can sound like no one's interested in them until everyone's interested in them. And then I bought the Cookie coin. I bought it at 33 million and sold it for like 90, right? But that's, I was buying someone's 33x. That's the level of, so like when you're trading things for 3x's, you can make some money, but if you can get even $1,000 into something that's going to go to 100 million, then you're making 50K, even if you're trimming all the way up. That's massive, right? So those are the things that I'm looking for. So if there's an analytics site that's like Cookie for prediction markets, and I hear about people using it, bang, like cool, I'll throw in $1,000 into that, or I'll throw $2,000 into that, depending on how much money I have. And I really do think if prediction markets keep going up and to the right in Q4, and it's looking like they're going to, that means PolyMarket their valuation is going to reprice up. Kalshi's valuation is going to reprice up, and that's going to be the anchor pricing for everything underneath it. And those things are going to go bananas. And then, come December, come January, you're gonna be like, cool, now I'm going to get out of this.
What was the Pico top for AI? What was like the moment that
Trump coin?
Yeah, no. But I'm saying
everything.
The AI itself,
Yeah.
like that's Trump. It killed everything. But I'm saying like, what was like the top signal of AI where, in retrospect, that was an obvious time to sell? Because I think that's the other thing too. It's like, hey man, I totally want to follow you into this and start trenching this stuff. But also, it's like I'm not making these bags. How do I know? How am I going to be able to identify what that is? Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's when you see stuff that's really not that interesting going to absurd valuations really quick. So if you remember, like Cerebro launched in like the beginning of November.
Yeah.
And it went to 500 million. Just really think about that. 500 million from a launch on pump.fun in a month. And it's like, what was that? Like AI XBT, you could at least tell from the way that AI XBT had contextual awareness of current events and stuff. You can tell that whoever built AI XBT, it wasn't just a ChatGPT bot. Like they had custom data feeds coming into this thing, right? And it was doing interesting analysis. And then you looked at like Cerebro and it sounded like an emo LA musician just like tweeting. Like it literally looked like a ChatGPT rapper with not that much effort put into it. And it went to $500 million. That's when, but the crazy thing is that was November 21st. So the market didn't even top there. It topped Cerebro, then went to 650 million January 2nd. So that's the thing is, especially if you get in early on this stuff, it's going to seem really silly when there's still a little bit more to go. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, the really interesting thing about this trade is that, yes, for a lot of these things, they may have charts like the AI coins where they just went up and then they crash all the way down. Mm-hmm. But these things are like prediction markets are going to have lasting power as a crypto adjacent market, right? Where we're literally talking about sports, like sports betting and how that revolution, like this could be a revolution. Some of these things, and see, look at me, I'm selling the crazy, right? And this is how we got, this is how we got in AI, it was the same thing. Oh, ChatGPT, this is not a ChatGPT wrapper. AI XPT is integrating custom millisecond data feeds, and it's gonna, people are gonna airdrop at $1 million NFTs and everything. But seriously though, at least look at this, all the stuff you can fall back and be like, dude, 2028 political election, how much money is Kalshi and PolyMarket going to do? Billions? Is there going to be billions, tens of billions bet on the market? Because especially with the U.S. penetration, like companies can hedge out risk based on what candidate wins, right? If you have government contracts, if you're in an industry that this person says they're going to transform. So a lot of this stuff I think can have real lasting power, but I do think crypto Q4 mania, a lot of things go crazy. Then they'll sell. And then you may look at the prediction market space and say, hey, it's massive. And there's a couple other adjacent tokens that are doing really well. But most of the stuff we were buying now went to zero, So I definitely am going to have the parachute ready to go in December, January, on a lot of these things, depending on the price action.
Well, I think that's a great spot to call it, man. This has been fantastic insight.
Awesome.
I'm gonna pair this with a little newsletter on Wednesday too, so it'll come out at the same time, and I think people will be really into that. I also while we're talking, I figured out the Pico top for AI, and I don't remember what that is. One of those DAO platforms, those AI platforms.
I know exactly.
And there was that one. I don't know what it was called, but like literally the top influencers. I remember like Thread Guy and Sammy. Their allocation was worth like $2 million when it came.
Yes. 100%.
And they were like, Thread Guy was like advisor, but there was like a list of 20 people that had allocations of like 2-3 million, and then there was like a list of like 100 addresses that made like 200 to 300K, and some of them were linked to like Twitter accounts that like were ghost Twitter accounts. It was like so clearly, and no offense to the guys who were involved, that's you're a KOL, you make money like that. That's fucking make that bag, baby. But it was such a clear fucking scam. And
like when things come out like that and it's like hundreds of millions of dollars and people that gotta a $500 pre-sale is worth 300K.
Some of the best AI traders that I knew at that point were like, when that token goes live, I'm putting fucking 1,000 SOL in. And I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, that's clearly like a bullshit thing.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew, like, there's a part where you realize, you know, you're in these groups of people and you're all like aping and everyone's making money. And you're like, on to the next. And there's a point where you kind of just, somebody says something and you're like, oh, it's over.
Oh, shit.
It's over. It's over. Shit. And somebody who's made too much money is going back to the table for more. And you know that they're just over. They've got.
And there's always a singular event. Like if you think about
and
NFTs,
too greedy. Other side mint is a perfect example. Fucking It's like Kevin Rhodes needs to raise like a $200 million. Pictures.
There were signs.
Fucking special.
There were signs.
You know what I mean? Other side burning $100 million of gas, and it was just, and we're still bidding it at 10 ETH for other side, even though it's 200,000. It was like there's a point where you look around and you're like, oh, we're in trouble. Like
people are buying rares in 100K collection for $250,000 plus,
like
if not more.
There's a point. Somebody says something at one point at the peak of those medias, and you're like, I think the canary is fucking dead. And you're like, oh, I need to.
It's like super dead. It's actually been rotting for 2 days. Just no one knows.
You can't believe it. You're like, but no, like, but my bags, they're down 30%. They're going to come back, and then you need to just get out.
Yes.
You got that anchor, you know, to the top price it was at. So
yes.
But we're early. This is way before. We're gonna have you back. I'll have you back at that.
Awesome.
I think that moment hits for prediction markets, and you can tell us if you're out or not.
Yes, I love it.
Kix, it's been an honor, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys can find this guy. What is it? What's your handle? Just Kix on? No, it's Speculator Art. You have
add Speculator Art. Back from my old NFT days, because people would make fun of me for just flooring NFTs. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm just an art speculator here.
You're one of the most prominent voices that I follow who still rocks the Moonbird.
That thing was in the graveyard for a while, brought it back.
Hey, well, man, you get that token soon. That's great. You know, I had one of those at one point, but I got out a long time ago. But anyways, Kix, my man, thank you, dude, for coming on the show. And we'll have you back soon.
Thanks. Pleasure.
Want updates from the trenches alongside the tokens we're trading? Sub to our channel, then join the Milk Road Degen and Degen Pro newsletters. This show's for educational purposes only. Nothing we say is financial advice. Investing is risky. Never invest more than you can afford to lose.